Now I can get this happening. Hello, Instagram Witchy Mamas. This is Avani from Ecstatic Earth Arts, and today I am going to be talking about Crone Magick. Let's see. So in my pre-show today, momentarily, once I get this set up, I am going to be talking about lessons from, what I call lessons from Nana. So my Nana was my maternal grandmother. And of course, you're not supposed to have favorite grandmas, but she was totally my favorite grandma, which is why I wanted to use Nana as my example, because I always looked up to her, so I was always looking to her for kind of advice and lessons and things like that. So I'm going to talk about lessons that I learned from her. As soon as I get this
favorite grandma, which is why I wanted to use.
There we go. So my grandma, my Nana. Hey, Brookie Babbling, we're going to be talking about Crone Magick today. Real quick, if you're here watching live, please throw hashtag live into the comments so other folks can find us. It helps the algorithm and all kinds of boring stuff like that. But in the meantime, while we're talking, I wanted to talk about lessons from Nana. So when we talk about the Crone and the Crone goddesses, we often think about like mythology and all sorts of things. Oh, best part of your week. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. So anyway, I was saying Crones. I feel like, oh, hey there, I can't pronounce your name, but I just sent you a wave. Glad you're here. Hit hashtag live. We're going to be talking about Crone Magick today in the pre-show while we wait for folks to show up, because I just went live. We're going to talk about lessons from my Nana. People hear about the Crone, they think about goddesses, think about mythology, but we all have Crones in our day-to-day life, our grandmas, our great-grandmas, our aunts, so on and so forth, who have a lot of wisdom that they can share with us, even apart from, goddesses or what have you. So I thought I would talk about my Nana today, my maternal grandmother, because she was my favorite grandma. Don't tell my other ones. Actually, all my grandmothers have passed away now, which is really sad. My last living grandma passed away earlier this year, so I'll be kind of putting her on the Samhain altar this year, but in any case, lessons I learned from my Nana. Here we go. So, number one lesson from my Nana that I would like to pass on to all of you. Always carry a flashlight in your car. I know, that seems really silly and really mundane, but hear me out. It has actually saved me, and I am so grateful that she taught me that thing. There was this one time that I was going to a friend's house. So I used to run this fire circle, which is sort of like a drum circle and a drum and dance, all like ecstatic dance, all kind of lumped into one. And I was at this friend's house of mine. She lives a couple towns away, and the back of her property is kind of swampy, especially when it's really wet. And this one day that I was there, while she wasn't, she was working at the time, and I would love nothing more for her to join and hear this story. But she had told me that I could come by and drop off wood, because I was acquiring specifically cut firewood so we could build the fire the way that I wanted to have it built. And I was dropping it off, and I drove a little bit too far back onto her property, and I got stuck in the back of her property. She lives like kind of removed from civilization in general. So it just so happened that I happened to have a lantern flashlight in my car that had a few different settings, and one of them actually involved a flash. So I called AAA, and I put the flashlight on the top of my car with that flasher on, and that's legitimately how the tow truck found me. So always keep a flashlight in your car. You never know when you might use it. They surprisingly come in handy. Number two, lessons from my Nana: always wear sunglasses. Now my Nana also had a astigmatism or some other common eye thing. I think it's an astigmatism. But always wear sunglasses, because the sun is actually surprisingly damaging to your eyes, and you never want to have any issues with that because it's a pain in the butt. So sunglasses, very important. Also, who wants to go around squinting, especially in the age of selfies? So sunglasses, very important. I try to keep a pair in my car at all times, and try not to take them out of my car, because when I take them out of my car, that's when I lose them. All right, lessons from my Nana number 3. Always say what's on your mind. So this was my favorite thing about my Nana, and why I looked up to her so much, because I have this really like awful and potentially toxic need to like please people and be nice and not say mean things, but she had zero you-know-whats to give about that, and I loved that about her, and that's had always been something that I kind of wanted to get to emulate. I'm not there yet. I keep thinking that the older I get, the closer to that I'll be, but not there yet. Working on it, but an excellent lesson to strive for in any case. Now, lessons from my Nana number 4. Life's too short to take it personally. Laugh it off. I can't tell you how many times my Nana did something absolutely bonkers, ridiculous, and was immediately in the moment already laughing at herself. It wasn't like, oh, well, we'll laugh about this later. It was right then. It was hilarious. And I love that about her. You know, there was this one story she told me that was hilarious. Again, if you're joining me live, because I see there's some people here, I haven't seen your names, throw a hashtag live into the comments so I see you're here. Just remember, this is supposed to be an interactive experience, so if you have anything you want to share, questions you want to ask, please throw them out there. Or if you have lessons from your nanas that you want to share, I'd love to hear about those too. The story of my grandma. So she always had dogs, and she would always take them out for walks. She lived in Florida toward the end of her life. And she would, like we all do, take the little plastic doggy poop bags with her. And this one day, she went out and the dog pooped like really close to the house. And she was like, I'm not going to hold on to this crap, literal crap for this whole walk. I'm just going to toss it back onto the yard and I'll grab it later. Well, she was a little bit too enthusiastic in her tossing. And she accidentally threw the dog poop bag onto her roof. And she immediately found this to be completely and utterly hilarious. My grandfather ended up having to get up onto a ladder to pull it off of the roof. So he had to go onto the roof to retrieve a dog poop bag. And that's kind of silly. Or the time that she slow-mo fell off of a bike in a department store. Like, she was ridiculous. But the point is, laugh. Laugh at yourself. Life's too short to take it personally. And then finally, number 5 lesson for my Nana is do what you love, even if you think you suck at it. So my Nana was a wonderful painter. Everyone in my family, a lot of the women in my mother's side of the family are artistic, and that's kind of where I get it from. And she was really good, really big into watercolor painting, and she was wonderful at it, in my opinion. But she always was really down on herself. But she kept doing it anyway, and I think that's really wonderful. So that's another wonderful lesson from my Nana. Again, if you're here joining me live, hashtag live, hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay, and then just so I can see your name, so I can say hello, because especially on Facebook, it doesn't show me who you are, and I would love to say hi. So, that said, let us actually talk about what y'all came here for today, which is Crone Magick. So first of all, the crone is something called an archetype. Now, that's something I've been talking about on social media and in my blog this week, the concept of archetypes. So if you haven't been up to date on those, I'll give you a quick summary here. What is an archetype? An archetype is a common character type or theme that you can find that's common to human experience, both in literature and mythology, and of course real life. And one of those is the crone, or the wise woman is a more common term that people use, but the word crone is much more popular and used frequently in witchcraft and occult and neo-paganism, so on and so forth. But the wise woman and the hag and the crone, they're all kind of the same thing, so you'll hear me use them kind of interchangeably here. And another group that kind of frequently gets lumped into them is also the dark goddesses. So think that aren't necessarily depicted as old, but are definitely associated with the crone because of what they deal with energetically, like Kali, Persephone, Ishtar, Inanna, that's what I'm thinking of. All kind of examples of dark goddesses that aren't necessarily crones per se, but they tend to all get lumped together. But typically the crone specifically, or the wise woman, they tend to be shown as old or, on in age. And they are usually super spiritual. And the reason why is that the idea is that because they're advanced in age, that makes them literally closer to death, which gives them sort of supernatural abilities as far as their ability to tap into knowledge that they otherwise shouldn't know. So they're often depicted as very, very wise and very knowledgeable, and tend to be able to contact spirits or the spirit world in some way, shape, or form. Although that said, oftentimes in myth you'll find the crone or the hag or the wise, not necessarily the wise, but the crone or the hag is often kind of depicted on a spectrum. So you'll get the ones that are super wise and very connected to spirit and sort of a force for good, and you'll also get those that are actually sort of considered foolish or unwise, or selfish in some way. Hey, Whimsy Woods Wicks, we are here talking about Crone Magick today. Glad you could join. So one kind of good example I wanted to give you of a crone in myth, literature, so on and so forth. Hopefully everyone has seen this. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Brave. It's by Pixar. And I love the witch in that one. And it's interesting to me because at various points in the movie, she's sort of sometimes depicted as both very, very wise, but then also she's sometimes depicted as sort of foolish and reckless at the same time. Kind of depending on where in the movie you're looking at her. But she's a really, really, really great example of the kind of crone, hag, wise woman archetype. Another example might be, obviously, the witch from Hansel and Gretel. That's a classic witch. And they also are often associated specifically with witchcraft. Either way, whether she is for good or for bad, pretty much across the board, the crone is sort of depicted as being just a little bit crazy, a little bit off her rocker, basically because she's not quite in touch with reality. She kind of has one foot in the living and one foot in the spirit world, which kind of makes her seem a little off balance, although often we find throughout the course of these stories that she's actually more balanced than anybody else and really knew something that, the normal person did not. And then oftentimes in myth and in story, the witch is often associated with darkness, like literal darkness, nighttime, or being in a cave, being underground, close to the earth. For example, I was talking about the witch in Brave. She lives in a cottage in the middle of the woods. So she's isolated and she's close to the earth, if not in a literal sense, like in a cave, close to the earth, and then she lives near it and around it. So that's a really common theme also. And I think one of the things that... Oh, and I had here one really common crone goddess is the Kalec, and I recognize that it's spelled Callieach. I had to look up how to pronounce it once upon a time, but it doesn't look like that's how you pronounce it. But the Kalec, one of those, is actually said to literally shape mountains with a hammer and lives inside of them. So that's another example within mythology, not just modern pop culture. And one of the things about the crone and the crone energy that really strikes me is that when I kind of throw it into the context in the light of our current culture and society. Again, if you're here joining me, please throw #live into the comments or #replay if you're watching on the replay, just so I can say hello, especially around Facebook, because Facebook doesn't show me your names and I would love to say hi. And again, if you have any questions or comments, always feel free to throw them in there. I would love to have a conversation here because this is about answering your questions and giving you guys information. And that doesn't always necessarily mean me just talking at you. I want to hear from you guys too if you have questions. But current perceptions of the crone in popular culture, I feel like I made a post about this on Instagram earlier this week, and I also feel like, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I phrased it really, really well, so I'm going to kind of rip off my own writing. We've been fed this idea, as women especially, that there is value in the appearance of youth and beauty. We're told to use creams and products and makeup and all sorts of things to add hair where it's not, where it's supposed to be, but it's not, and waxes and razors and chemicals to remove the hair that's there where it shouldn't be. And, as soon as a woman uses her appearance of youth, oftentimes in our culture, she basically becomes invisible. I've heard this from the women that are experiencing this. And I feel like in our culture, the crone has sort of been devalued. We forget about her, we throw her into nursing homes because it's too much work and we don't want to deal with it. But the truth is there's a ton of value, a ton of wisdom that we're missing out on by not tapping into those energies and working with those people. Even our own family members, we have a tendency to, once we get, and I'm guilty of this too, once they get to a certain age, we get busy, we don't go visit, and we're missing out on a lot. So especially for those of us that have the time and the energy to be, spending that time and visiting, I highly recommend. But another great example of the idea of, women are not only, now they're devalued, but in the past, obviously, they were not just devalued, but they were also criminalized for their wisdom, for their independence that they had gained over the course of a lifetime of just living. And that's how we ended up with things like the witch hunts. They were looking at older women who were living independently, who were herbalists, who were healing people and helping them, and they were threatened by that. And, sort of, we've never completely 100% recovered from that that image that was painted, especially of the hag, the crone, the wise woman. But today, with all of that in mind, I wanted to do a little short meditation so that everybody here can kind of tap into that crone energy and maybe glean some wisdom from your own inner hag, as it were. I feel like, yeah. So, but I just realized that I was talking here about, before I get to the meditation, I'm just realizing here I wrote about all these things about the crone archetype, and I talked about current perceptions, but I didn't talk a whole lot about the lessons that come from the crone. So let me pour through that really quickly. Here's, obviously I talked about lessons from Nana at the beginning. If you didn't hear that, go back and listen to it because it's kind of a hoot. The other thing that we learned from the hag, so there's this thing, and of course my book is a little bit far. Actually, you know what? I can pull it up on here. So in I'm sure a lot of us here have probably heard of the Charge of the Goddess, and which was one of the original versions was written by Doreen Valiente, and she actually also wrote a Charge of the Dark Goddess, and I really, really love it. I have it here. It's part of, actually, I have it in my Samhain Ancestor ritual that's available on my website right now. So I'm actually pulling up that. I'm going to read off of there because that's the easiest way. I think it really sums up the energy of the crone really, really succinctly. So this is sort of the first part of it. It says here, I'm just going to read it verbatim because I don't think I could describe it better myself. It says, I am the queen of transformation and the dark moon hidden in the deepest night. I am the mystery of the other world and the wisdom that coils about your heart in times of trial. I am the soul of nature that gives form to the universe. I am who awaits you at the end of the spiral dance that is life. I am most ancient among goddesses. Let my worship be within the heart that has truly tasted life. For behold, all acts of craft and art are my pleasure, and my greatest ritual is love itself. And it goes on to more and more, but I really love that. Especially that idea, let my worship be in the heart of those that have truly tasted life. The crone goddess and the crone energy, it's someone who has lived their life to the fullest, that they have left no stone unturned, no task incomplete, no bucket list item unchecked. And I think that that's what the crone is all about. And she's lived enough life to have decided that, who cares what anybody thinks? I'm going to do whatever I want. And I think that that's something that all of us could absolutely use more of in our life. So that said, let's segue into this meditation that I very much would like to do with you guys so that you can tap into a little bit of that energy on your own. So that said, find a comfortable position. Find a comfortable place to sit. On a bed, on a chair, wherever is comfortable for you. Again, if for whatever reason where you are right now you can't do the meditation, by all means come back and rewatch this later. If you're on Facebook, you can find this. You'll be able to find this on my page and or in my Facebook group, The Witchy Mama. If you're not already there on Instagram, you should totally join it because it's kind of fun. If you're joining me on Facebook, it's going to be, I already said Facebook. If you're going to be on Instagram, it's going to be in my feed as on my IGTV channel. It will be under Goddess Magic because this totally counts. But that said, find a comfortable position, she said, awkwardly finding a comfortable position. And if you are sitting, not on a bed, if you are sitting in a chair, put both feet on the ground and do your best to straighten your back and sit up straight as if you're trying to balance something on your head. Allow your hands to rest comfortably in your lap in whatever position feels comfortable to you. And when you feel physically comfortable, allow your eyelids to fall gently closed. Allow your shoulders to drop and your jaw muscles to relax so your teeth are comfortably apart. For a moment, just breathe. Allow the air to flow slowly through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel the sensation of the air rushing over the back of your throat as you inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and warmly over your lips as you exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. In 4, 3, 2, 1, and out 4, 3, 2, 1. feel a sensation of warmth come over your entire body, from head to toe, every muscle relaxing top to bottom as it comes over you. Just for a moment, allow yourself to breathe, and allow yourself to fall into the gentle rhythm of breath that comes just before sleep. As you continue to breathe, begin to visualize yourself in a forest. The ground is littered with crisp autumn leaves that beg to be stepped on, so that you can hear the satisfying crunch beneath your feet. They were once vibrant shades of gold, orange, and red, but time has taken its toll on them as they have faded to varying shades of brown. Looking around, you can see that there is a small wooden bridge cobbled together from fallen wood that crosses a small stream to your left. You approach the bridge, leaves crunching under toe, as you grasp the rough surface of the bridge's railing, still covered in its natural bark, and you step across the stream. Just ahead of you is a small clearing. You approach the clearing and can see that there are 3 women waiting for you there. One is a teenager, one is an adult, and the third is an old woman. The closer you get to the clearing and the waiting women, you realize that they look eerily familiar. Now, in the center of the clearing, you look in the face of the adult woman and realize that it is like looking in a mirror. She is you. Or, moreover, she is your highest self. She smiles at you warmly when you recognize her. You look to the left and see a younger version of yourself. In true form, she looks a bit antsy and restless, as if standing in the circle is boring to her, but she is polite enough to know that she needs to be here. You nod to her gently, but the real reason you came, you've realized, is to meet the crone. You turn to the old woman. She looks impossibly short compared to the other 2 women, hunched over and leaning her weight on a staff for support. Her skin is lined and wrinkled like aged leather that has sat in the sun a little too long, and her hair is wild and white-gray like corn silk. Despite her otherwise haggard appearance, her eyes sparkle at you as she smiles warmly. You can feel power and magic oozing off of her, and she actually scares you just a little bit because it feels a bit like she is an electrical conduit that is conducting too much power that could explode at any moment. However, she is perfectly calm and contained despite that feeling. You walk up to the crone and she offers you her careworn hands. You study her face. You recognize those eyes as your own. They've seen the same things as you, but now so much more. They contain wisdom and understanding that you only dream of right now. You speak to her and ask her what guidance she would give you as you live your life at this time. Take a moment to just listen to what she has to say. Her message may come as speech, or an animal you might see in the clearing, or she may even hand you a gift. You squeeze her hand in thanks, for it is now time to return. You look at the crone, smile at her, and thank her for her wisdom. It is sad to leave as you find so much comfort in the presence of these 3 women that are both you and seem so much more comfortable and confident in their skin than you. It is a reminder that it is within your power to do the same. They are you, and you are them. You walk back to the bridge and cross it once again, to return to the place where you started. Slowly, you begin to become aware of your physical surroundings again. Allow your hands to explore the texture of what you're sitting on, the texture of your own pants. And when you are ready to open your eyes, feeling refreshed and revitalized in the wisdom you received from the crone. All right. And when you guys are ready, when you're back, if you're willing to share what you might have seen or experienced, please throw it into the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Real quick, obviously I couldn't go quite as deep as you guys because I was reading, but I did go a little bit. When my crone self handed me what looked like a smooth, rounded, like box, but when I looked more closely, it looked more like a stopwatch or a pocket watch, which talks to me about the idea of using my time wisely, and that life is short. Life is short is really what I was getting from that. So to make sure that you use it wisely, which is the type of thing you'd expect to hear from a crone. So if you have anything that you want to share that you might have experienced in that meditation, let me know. If you're just joining me live, again, always #live. If you're here replay, #replay. We just did a little crone meditation. If you think that sounds like a lot of fun, by all means, go back and rewatch this. I believe that the meditation itself starts about 10 minutes back. But of course, there's tons of great information in the beginning that you might have missed if you didn't do the whole thing. And while people are typing, if they're typing, I have some crone-inspired goodies from my shop that I want to share with you today that are part of my Samhain collection. And I didn't want to write this in the description for this because I didn't want to give it away, but my Samhain collection is on sale right now, all 30% off with the code HAILHECATE3030. So go check it out. So all of the things I'm about to show you are all on sale right now, so super awesome. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this necklace I'm actually wearing. This is my woven Hecate's key necklace. So it's made with black hemp, and these are actually lava stone beads. So let me kind of just give you a quick rundown of all the symbolism in this. So obviously the key is literally a skull key here. The skull, of course, is symbolic of death, and the key is one of Hecate's symbols. She's said to have, believed to have the key to the spirit world, so she's not necessarily like an underworld goddess, but she's believed to kind of be in charge of the in-between from one to the next. So the key is Hecate's symbol, and of course also has a skull, so that's pretty obvious. So in this part of the necklace here, there is actually 13 knots between each of the large beads here. And again, these are lava stone beads. They're associated with the element of fire, which Hecate is also associated with fire. The cool thing about lava stone beads, if you've never worn them or used them before, is you can put essential oils on them and they will actually diffuse the scent a little bit. And each of these comes with cypress essential oil diffused in them, which is associated with Hecate also. And then on the top part of this necklace here, you can see here this actually has this twisty pattern, which is sort of remnant of double helix DNA. So I love the idea that that kind of leads into the idea that the transformation of death actually leads to life. So these necklaces are $25 each. If you like this and you want one for your others, I didn't bring one with me. They're downstairs, but I also have ones that are red, that have red hemp also, which is associated with fire also. These are $25 each. If you like them, that's the full price, but if you like them, you can send me a private message, or you can go to my website, ecstaticeartharts.com, and grab one for your own at 30% off with coupon code HAILHECATE30. Love. So, that's that. Alright, I also have a few other things. This is something called a hag torch. It literally has the word hag in the title. These are also called mullein candles. So the center of this candle is actually a mullein stalk, which is dipped in beeswax and rolled in my Hecate herbal blend. And this can actually be used like a candle. It's an excellent addition to your Samhain rituals, especially the Samhain ancestor ritual that is available on my website. This is not actually part of the bundle, but it is an excellent addition if you're also looking to grab all the goodies to make your Samhain celebration super, super special. That bundle comes with the ritual itself, an ancestor divination candle, which I poured myself in some vintage glass creamers, which are really beautiful, and of course my Hecate anointing oil, and you can get those things also separately, of course, too. But hag torch necklace. I have a couple different sticker images I'll show you. They got a little bit dog-eared because the baby got to them, but not too bad. This is my actual Crone moon artwork. So you can see... Ugh, hold on. Here we go. Just wanted you to see how it comes off here because you can't really see. It is die cut. It's not a big square. It is die cut, which is really lovely. This can be really beautiful on the inside cover of Book of Shadows. I had to put stickers on my Book of Shadows. Or, of course, anywhere. Just to remind you of that line I told you. Let my worship be within the heart who has, lived life to the fullest. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But that's what this image represents to me, is that kind of crone wisdom of, living life as fully as possible. Then I have this. This is the hand of Hecate. It says, lighting the way to darkness. And then, of course, there's the key here with the torch. And you can't tell, but this is actually supposed to be a hag torch here. So the stalk and then the beeswax here that's lit on fire. This was an image that was originally created for my Mabon ritual at the end. And one of the things I really liked about this, especially in the Mabon ritual, is that at the end of the ritual it kind of felt like it was transitioning from Mabon into Samhain. But I really love this image too. And this is the largest size sticker. They also come in smaller sizes if you don't want something this gigantic. And of course this one is also die cut. So there's that. And then, so the Crone Moon, actually you can also buy in a t-shirt. Check it out. And it actually has that saying on it, which I love. Let my worship be within the heart that has truly tasted life. And I like this one. I actually took this and did a reverse the kind of, oh my gosh, I can brain. Inverted the color so her hair kind of really stands out. It's a more solid image, but I love this. I would have worn this today, but it is not my size. But this is a great example. So I love this t-shirt. This is navy blue. It also comes in black and maybe gray, but definitely black and blue. Highly recommended. Super cute. And I have ordered my own shirts, just not this particular one. And they're really, really soft and comfy. And I believe that's a unisex size, so order accordingly. And then the final thing I want to show you is one of my absolute favorite things in my Samhain collection right now, and this is literally the last one. So if you're interested in it, before I show it to you, definitely shoot me a PM, or of course, like I said, you can go to my website, ecstaticearth.com, and use coupon code HAILHECATE30 and get a 30% off discount. It is this. So this is my own Hecate art. In an antique, maybe vintage, I don't actually know how old it is exactly, but a vintage brass frame. It doesn't have a date on it, but a vintage brass frame. Cool thing about this, which I think is super cool, this is actually 2 pieces, which is neat. If for any reason you need to lay it flat, that makes it easier to ship to, which is nice for me. But this is my own Hecate Bremo. Bremo, I think is how you pronounce it, artwork. And Bremo means anger or fury. So the idea, I really wanted to depict that. So Hecate has tons of aspects and tons of epithets or aspects to her. And why I really wanted to tap into that, I feel like as women especially, this is just a commentary in general, I feel like women are expected and are intended, and encouraged to be emotional, but the one emotion that we're never allowed or generally conditioned to not be able to experience is anger. So I really wanted to tap into the idea of feminine anger and righteous anger. So that's why I made Hecate Bremo. The idea, and she's holding a snake. Snakes are a symbol of transformation. So the idea of anger leading to healing and transformation. This symbol here, in this kind of black halo behind her, is intended to represent the new moon. The new moon is one of her sacred days. I want to say a feast day, but it's one of her sacred days every month, which is tonight, score. And then the trim of in her dress here is leaves, which is a symbolic of her status as a healer, especially with poisonous plants. And then there's also a triple moon in her belt here too, representing her status as a moon goddess. So I love this piece so much. I have no problem keeping this, but I would much rather see it go to the home of someone who really, really loves it. These are $28 whole. This one is $28 whole price right now, but you can get 30% off if you use coupon code Hecate30 on my website right now. That sale is going to last until Sunday at 8 p.m. So if you're watching this on the replay, it might not be too late. Go and check it out. That said, it's time for me to sign off. My poor 11-year-old is out taking care of my infant son, and I'm sure is super ready for a break, so I'm going to take off. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. If you have any questions, comments on the replay, of course, always feel free to throw them in there anyway. Even though I'm not live, I will be happy to answer them when I'm able to. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care and blessed be.